Hi, this is Naomi with Sword and Steel, and today I want to show off this Warpaints Fanatic True Blood effect, but not only as a blood effect, but also through the airbrush to create a red metallic. So I hope you enjoyed this video. So this model of Abaddon was donated to me for experimentation, and what kind of good experiment doesn't end up with a lot of blood, right? So the first thing I have to do is give the tried and true blood splatter effect a go on him, which I do with this ragged old Citadel brush. Instead of ruining one of your brushes, if you don't have one, you could just use a toothbrush to the same sort of effect. Now, you certainly can thin down the true blood with an acrylic thinner or acrylic paint, which you'll see in a moment. But first, I just want to see what the splatter is like all by itself. Look how vibrant it is, though, this bloody red. It is very nice looking. It does want a little extra on the brush for this effect because it is fairly globular for a paint, which I find is often the case with anything glossy, which this certainly will be even when dry. But now we are going to see how easy it is to apply with just a regular old paintbrush. I want complete control over where it goes, so I use my go-to detail brush, my Kalinsky Masterclass, and just enjoy applying it to various areas that seem like they could use some blood. The flow is nice and it's easy to work with. I very much enjoy this particular blood effect. I've previously been a fan of Blood for the Blood God, but I absolutely like the fact that this one is in a dropper bottle, so I can use exactly the amount I need with no waste, and I would not consider this an inferior product to Blood for the Blood God at all. If you like Blood for the Blood God, I absolutely think that you will like this one just as well or more. Who knows? Oh, and for anyone who hasn't tried new Army Painter bottles yet, you might not have noticed, but the Army Painter now puts 2 agitators in every bottle they make. So this one is no different, which is nice. Okay, now that I've got some fresh blood all over the place, I do want some older drying blood as well. So I grab a transparent brown that's rich in like chocolatey color. I spotted Fire Drake from the 2.0 speed paint range, so I'll use this to make some more aged blood. The speed paint dries matte, so when combining the two, it will be far less glossy when dry, which is more aligned to what I want because dried blood is not glossy. I could also add a little dark purple to the mix instead, or in addition, but I'm pretty happy with the mix as is. But you can change it up if you prefer a blacker dried blood, which would be pretty realistic too. And with this, I just think about gravity and blood flow and blood for the blood god, skull for the skull throne. I can't say I'm using that much rhyme or reason. I mean, you know that when someone, I am assuming it wasn't himself, but someone was shoving the skulls onto his centerpiece, backpack, attachment, they probably weren't giving that much care to where the blood went, so that's my theory. That's what's going on through my head, and I feel like they did it really recently, so all those skulls should have like all sorts of blood on them. That's my assumption. I mean, Abaddon isn't exactly a corn worshiper, but if you got skulls on the back of him, he must have put them there for a reason, and probably in the heat of the battle likes to collect them to bring them back to his ship. So I'm thinking they're pretty recent. I mean, they would just be too stinky to leave on all the time, and that's I wouldn't want to deal with that. So I'm thinking it's recent. He's gonna go and clean them up in his ship when he's done later. Is it just, for greater effect? Maybe it's the way that, the Black Legion does their high fives. Just crash a skull on Abaddon's backpack while they're going. Stuff like that. And finally, finish him off once I know that any more blood would just be too much. And this is what it all looks like when dried. As you can see, the fresh blood still looks quite fresh and the dry blood has turned more matte. So it's a great, simple effect to use with little effort on your part. Just have fun with it. All right, now let's get to the potential for a red metallic. This one requires more work. Now, you can indeed use this over a silver or gold metallic as a great red gemstone effect, but over a larger surface area, it would be harder to pull off well. You can do it, particularly when adding just a brown or purple speed paint to the mix to make it a little more flowy, but I do think it'll take a little bit of trial and error to get the effect that you want, so I'll work on that. Or you just use it through the airbrush. So to prep the mini, I have him primed with Chaos Black Spray, but any black primer will do, and a gloss black will actually bring out a more brilliant metallic finish. But my plan is for a little bit more of a subdued red rather than an incredibly glossy for this finish. And then I've added Vallejo Metal Color Chrome over the black, not entirely, only in a mostly downward fashion to leave some highlights and shadows, followed with a bit of this Super Chrome by AK Interactive. You can certainly use the Super Chrome beneath the red for your gemstone effects as well, but you may need to apply a varnish before you add the red because this Super Chrome is not an acrylic. Also, you're going to need a harder cleaner to clean it from the airbrush, and alcohol or Vallejo brush cleaner to clean it from a hand brush. And then I apply the True Blood, thinned down with some AK Interactive thinner because I happen to have the AK Interactive thinner next to my airbrush booth, plus some Army Painter purple ink for the underbelly. So just True Blood and thinner for the top sections, but all underbelly stuff has a bit of the purple ink to give it a deeper red tone. But any airbrush thinner should do the trick, or some airbrush flow improver or contrast medium. Know your brush, determine how thin to put it. Mine is using a 0.5 nozzle and needle, and the ratio I use is about 1:1 thinner to True Blood. And I applied that in 3 layers, letting each layer dry between until I have reached this stage. And then, without washing out my airbrush pot, I just dropped in some Azurman blue contrast into the airbrush and sprayed at an upwards angle for like a darker blue purple shadow. You can, by all means, use a smaller nozzle brush and get more details and more precise shading to highlighting, but as this is just a trooper, I didn't care to spend too much time worrying about the details on him. But here he is again with some of his details picked out and a base added so you can get a better idea of what the red looks like when done. I actually started testing for red metallics because a patron asked me very nicely if I might find one for him, so I hope you like it. Of course, I wanted to try out True Blood anyway. It has such great potential for what you can do with it, does it not? So thank you to the patron who made me rifle through my paints to see what I could come up with, and thank you to all the patrons that support the channel and the YouTube members. I really appreciate it. And of course, if you want to become a patron, you can check out how to do that in the description. It really helps me use everything at my disposal without having to worry about too much on finances. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, make certain to like the video to help it spread out in the universe if you think other people would enjoy it too, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye! Oh, sugar, na 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 na. Oh, honey, honey, na 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 na. You are my candy girl. I'm actually able to speak better than I thought I would with these in. These are pretty good. I don't know how you could possibly take someone that serious if they have a slight lisp all the time, but there it goes to show, no matter what someone sounds like, be wary, because they might be a blood-sucking murderer. The more you know.